Cypress Financial Group presents the Retirement Roundtable podcast with John Scallan. Get more at cypressfinancial.net. Now, let's get to the show.
My name is Mark Owens. And John, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the Retirement Roundtable this weekend, why are people calling you? The adults of Southern Louisiana, what are they looking for right now?
Well, good morning to you, Mark. It's nice that you throw me a left-handed knuckleball, the first pitch. Great question. I mean, listen, we got a bunch of calls this weekend about Medicare. Am I making the right decision? We've got calls during the week for that second opinion. There's a lot of talk about taxes. And Mark, a lot of conversation about inflation in the market. So again, all across the board, it's been a really dynamic and really satisfying week.
All right. Well, if it's on your mind, we invite you to reach out to John Scallan, 504-732-1001, or always available at cypressfinancial.net. I'm glad you said that, John, because there is a common financial observation lately that the state of the economy is not reflected by the state of the stock market. Moody's has taken that a step further. They're now saying that the economy is now reliant on the well-to-do, and if the ultra-rich get nervous, that means a recession. What are your thoughts?
Mark, what I'm seeing, I can kind of share a story from you just a few days ago. I'm in Rouse's a few days back. There was an older woman right in front of me, and she actually took 2 packs of chicken out of her basket. She left it in the bag, set it on the counter. She kind of looked at me and said, too expensive, right? Meanwhile, the stock market, the news is celebrating continued highs, continued, record-breaking growth in the market. So, here in Louisiana, I'm talking to folks every day who maybe they feel like they're just treading water a little bit. Their kids really are struggling to make mortgage payments. Their grocery bills have went significantly higher. But if you own stocks, man, you're really, really doing well. That's the disconnect that Moody's is really talking about. It's real, and for some people, it's getting wider.
So that reality, how does that reality affect retirement planning for everyday people of Southern Louisiana?
Mark, when wealth gets concentrated, when consumer spending depends on what high earners are doing, the whole system, quite frankly, becomes a little fragile. I mean, for those of you who can remember, think about 2008. The market crashed, sure, but the real damage was people who lost their jobs. Retirement accounts eventually recovered, but what about the people who may have been laid off at age 58 or at age 60? Some of these folks never made it back to work. We don't build retirement plans that require the market continues to go up forever. We build plans that work when things fall apart. Multiple income streams, a focus on the management of debt, and also guaranteed income sources that are not dependent upon what the market does.
Speaking of how complex the market can be, I want you to hear this clip from Fiona Gregg, head investor research at Vanguard, and was on the Decoding Retirement podcast and called retirement what could be the most complex time of our life.
There's such an opportunity to improve and simplify these financial decisions for people. This is probably the moment in their lives in which their financial lives are the most complex. The typical person in their 50s has not one, but probably 3 or more 401k accounts, plus a 1 or 2 IRAs. So this is a very financially complex moment in their lives. And can we help those who perhaps just might not know what to do at this moment?
John Scallan, do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, great clip, Mark. Without question, I've seen successful business owners, people who've ran a company for 40 years, right? They turn 65, they start thinking about retirement. One of these clients came to me completely overwhelmed. I mean, 3 old 401ks from different jobs, different custodians, 2 IRAs, CDs scattered around, and a pension plan that he didn't fully understand. He thought figuring out his retirement would be straightforward, but every question, quite frankly, led to 3 more. When should he take Social Security? Well, that depends on his pension amount. which affects how much Social Security gets taxed, which affects his Medicare premium, which changes how much he needs to withdraw from his retirement accounts, which might push him into a higher tax bracket. Mark, we literally spent 2 hours mapping out how everything is interconnected. That's not because we're trying to complicate things. It's because retirement is complicated in ways that quite frankly, it just wasn't the same 30 years ago.
So how do you, John Scallan, you and the team at Cypress Financial, how do you help simplify this for the families you serve?
Mark, I guess I would say we stop trying to solve everything at once. The first conversation is always the same. What does your life look like in retirement? Not the numbers. Let's talk about your life. Are you staying in your home? Are you downsizing? Are you helping out the kids or the grandkids with their education? Do you want to travel? Now, once we know what you are trying to build, then we can figure out the mechanics. Most people do it backwards. They start with, how do I optimize my Social Security, before they really haven't decided what the need is for that income stream. I tell people retirement planning is, it's like cooking gumbo. If you've never made it, you need someone to show you how. Sure, you could figure it out by trial and error, but you'd certainly waste a lot of incredible ingredients. Now, here's something you can do this weekend. Grab a piece of paper and write down these 3 numbers. What is your monthly Social Security estimate? What pension or guaranteed income sources do you have? And what are your actual monthly expenses in retirement? One other caveat: if we have a chance to talk to you before retirement, expenses and your debt load is a huge part of this conversation. Should you work a little longer? Can we leverage some assets to maybe finish paying off the house? All of these pieces work together. Most people have never put these numbers side by side. Once you see them on paper, you'll know exactly what gaps need to be filled. That's where we start in the first complimentary conversations when you call us, 504-732-1001.
Retirement is drawing ever closer for the Gen X crowd, those 50, 55, approaching 60 years old. There was a USA Today article that said retirement bites. It noted that the Gen Xers don't think that they've saved enough. They wish they'd started saving earlier, and they fear they're going to outlive their money. What do you say to those Gen X, those 50, 55? The Gen Xers are bumping up against 60 years old. When they come to you, what are you saying?
Gosh, we love the Gen Xers, man. They're kind of caught in that middle where, I think I'm technically a baby boomer, but you guys are great. Y'all have done a lot for the country. And we talk to this demographic a lot. They graduated into recession. Some of them watched their parents' pensions disappear. You guys survived the dot-com crash. You got hammered in 2008 with the Great Recession. And many of these Gen Xers, they're wondering, how am I supposed to retire on what's left? But let me tell you, here's what I'm actually seeing when they come through my door. Most of them are in better shape than they think. They're comparing themselves to maybe an outdated model that doesn't exist anymore.
What do you mean? I'm sorry to interrupt you. When you say outdated model, what do you mean by that?
What I've found is just talking with, your generation. A lot of times they say, listen, I've got to have $1 million or $2 million. I've got to have a pension, my Social Security, everything needs to be lined up. But I want to say this, that was their parents' retirement. It's not theirs. I met with a client recently, manages a bunch of real estate in Slidell. She had, I'm going to just say, close to $400,000. She literally came in convinced that she was failing at retirement planning. We spent about an hour just talking through the facts. with what she's got, she's not just fine. She could probably retire a little bit early if she wanted.
To the Gen X crowd that's listening right now, and I'm putting myself in this category too, we're talking about the 45, 50, 55-year-olds. They fear that they haven't done enough to prepare for retirement. What would you tell them right now, John Scallan?
Yeah, Mark, I guess I would say, stop comparing yourself to people who retired in 1985. I mean, quite frankly, that world is gone. Your retirement will look different, and that's okay. If you're lying awake at night, worried about retirement, do this. Open your last 401k statement and look at the total balance. Don't get emotional about whether it's enough or not. Just write down the number. Then ask yourself one question. If I never added one single dollar to this account, would it grow enough by retirement to cover exactly what I need? If you don't know that answer, it's okay. That's what we can figure out together. Myself or another good quality financial advisor. Bring that statement when you come to see us. Call us at 504-732-1001. Again, if you're mid-50s, you've still got time to really move the needle, not only in the accumulation of your assets, but beating down any unnecessary debt that you want to carry into retirement.
And John, speaking of 401k, for a lot of people, it's going to be their biggest source of income in retirement. And beginning next year, the common 401k investor will have access to alternative investments. But I want you to hear this clip from portfolio manager Jason Katz, who told Fox Business that this new rule comes with a warning.
Think hedge funds, think private equity, think private credit. Now, this is great to the extent that it's further diversification. You don't need a good stock market for some of those investments to work out. But there's the other side of that. These are opaque. They're not as liquid. The fees are higher. And you're going to have a huge universe of these new funds chasing a finite universe of private investments. So this should be a portion of your assets. It will help mitigate the volatility of your returns, but don't get over your skis. 10 or 20% at most in these alternative investments.
So do the risk outweigh the benefits?
Well, Mark, first of all, to Mr. Jason Katz, kudos to you because that is spot on. This is one of those things that really sound great in a boardroom. It looks great on a brochure. But let me tell you, it scares me when I think about people who don't have exposure or understanding to these particular products and when it comes to purchasing them in their retirement accounts. I mean, I use alternative investments personally. I use them also for some clients. Private equity, certain structured products, they absolutely have a place. But what makes me nervous is complexity. Complexity in a 401k that you can't easily get out of. I mean, I looked at a 401k plan recently. His plan had just added a private equity option. The literature made it sound amazing. I think the quote was, potential for superior returns and low correlation to public markets. I simply asked him, what happens if you need this money in an emergency? He didn't know. Turns out some of these alternative investments typically have lockup periods. It's not like just cashing in a mutual fund or an index fund. You can't just sell them when you want. And the fees, as Jason said, significantly higher than your typical index fund, Mark.
So when does this all start to make sense?
Man, you have to understand alternatives. They should be a small slices. Again, as Jason mentioned, 10 to 15% at the most. But again, do your homework, read the fine print, understand what the upside is and what the downside is, not the marketing brochure, but the actual mechanics. The problem is most people see that quote, potential for superior returns, and that's where they stop reading. They don't ask about liquidity. They don't understand the fee structure. They don't realize that they might be locking up their money for years.
Okay, before getting too invested And one of these opportunities, what should adults be doing?
Yeah, man. I mean, first of all, get all of the information more than the pretty shiny brochure. With these new alternative investment options, I would call your plan administrator. Here's the question, and write this down. And for everyone out there who has a 401k, you're going to start seeing this relatively soon. Here's the question. What are the liquidity restrictions on this investment? If they can give you a straight answer, or if they can't give you a straight answer, don't invest. If there's a lockup period, think hard about whether you can afford to have that money tied up. Do you have an emergency fund that may be able to fill that liquidity gap? And also look at the fees. If you're paying 2 or 3% annually for alternative investments when you could pay literally 0.1% for an index fund, you may be getting something extraordinary for that cost. Complexity is fine if you understand it. It's dangerous when you don't. If you're considering putting retirement money into alternatives, let's review this together. 504-732-1001. It would truly be a privilege to hear from you and have a conversation about what's important to you and your family in retirement.
And John, you've said it before, the lottery is not a retirement plan. You may win that Publishers Clearinghouse, but that is not to be taken seriously as a retirement plan. Recently, Publishers Clearinghouse filed for bankruptcy. You know these guys. Some of the winners of that $5,000 a week for life, they're now out of luck. I want you to hear this clip from one of the winners. His name is John Wiley.
Why didn't somebody at least give me a heads up? Hey, we're going out of business, No, it's like somebody just cut the cord. I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose my home. Sold my jet ski, sold my trailer. I had a little bit of money left over, and that's what I'm living on right now. I was proud of the fact that I left my children something. Now I can't leave them anything, and I'm really disappointed.
What's interesting there, John, and what I want to pick your brain about, he won his prize back in 2012, and when the check stopped coming in, he'd already collected over $3 million. Yet in that clip, he talked about, I got to sell everything, the house, the jet skis. Do you think that he took the opportunity to talk to a financial advisor?
Yeah, Mark, sad situation. Not a chance that he took the time to talk to a financial advisor. And I'll tell you why. The man received $260,000 every year for 12 years. That's over $3 million in a windfall. And now apparently he's broke. That's not a math problem. To me, that's a lifestyle problem. I mean, he started living like someone who makes $260,000 a year, probably upgraded the house, upgraded the cars, upgraded the lifestyle. I mean, every penny coming in was probably going right out the back. I mean, my heart goes out to this family. I found it hard to believe if he had an advisor that someone didn't sit him down and say, this could end. You need to save. Let's save half of it. Save 30%. I mean, 12 years. If he invested half of this and still lived incredibly well on this $130,000 a year, I mean, after 12 years, he'd have $1 million in the bank. Instead, this poor gentleman is selling everything he has.
So, John, what's the lesson that we can learn from this?
Windfall income is a test. Most people fail it. I mean, how many times do you see these lottery winners, end up broke? I mean, they treat this money like a salary instead of what it really is. It's a one-time opportunity to change your life, to change your family's life forever. Listen, if you suddenly come into money, inheritance, bonus, selling a business, don't make any major decisions for at least 30 days. And I mean none. Don't buy the car. Don't upgrade the house. Certainly don't tell everyone you know that you got this windfall. Sit with it for a month. Talk to a wise financial advisor. Get counselors on this. This windfall is a one-time opportunity to change your financial life forever. Don't waste it on stuff that won't matter in 5 years. Call a financial advisor. Call us if you don't have one. 504-732-1001. Again, an honor and a privilege to meet you and to talk to you about anything that's concerning you about your future financially.
If you know an inheritance is in your future and you just want to make sure that you're making the right decisions, especially regarding your taxes, don't forget, Uncle Sam sees an inheritance as his opportunity to make a little money as well. 504-732-1001. That initial consultation, no cost, no obligation. 504-732-1001. John Scallan, we are bumping up against it here. Any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, Mark, here's what's on my heart. I mean, just at this very moment, whether you're planning to retire in 2 years or 20, whether you've saved $300,000 or $3 million, the financial principles are the same. Build multiple income streams, keep fees low, plan for inflation. Don't depend on the government programs to support you, and work with someone who will be there when things get complicated. Mark, I've been doing this for a long time, for decades, and I still learn something new every single week. I mean, tax laws change, investment products evolve, Social Security rules shift. I mean, nobody can keep up with it, all while also living a full and busy life. That's why we're here, to watch out for the things that you don't have time to watch out for, to catch the mistakes before they cost you, and to help you build something that will last. I mean, if you're 50 or older and you've saved $250,000 or more, please pick up the phone and call us. The first conversations are entirely complimentary. Bring your statements, bring your questions, bring your concerns. Again, we're at 504-732-1001, 2 offices to serve you. And here's the final thought. Retirement should be the reward for a lifetime of hard work and passion, not a source of stress and worry. We will help make sure it works out the way that you have always hoped for.
Investment advisory services offered through Cypress Financial Group, a registered investment advisor firm. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities offered through Cypress Financial Group, John Scallan, Louisiana Insurance License Number 1064997. The firms are separate entities. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company and are not offered by Cypress Financial Group. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties.